Hello, welcome back to my channel. Please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and check my channel for other Z-World updates. So the last update about Taste of Fate. Rhea cooks to impress the family, but the food tasted bad. But to Pallavi, the food actually tasted good. And Prachi goes to the hospital to check her baby's heartbeat, and she wished that Rambo was there to hear the baby's heartbeat with her. Let's continue. Prachi comes out of the hospital and says, I want me and Rambo to hear the baby's heartbeat at the same time. She gets sorrowful. Shahana sees Prachi and asks her. A guy drives the car and asks them to move away from the way. Shahana argues with the driver and asks him to go. Shahana tells Prachi that she has seen her before and thought to hug her when she meets her the next time. She hugs her again. Prachi cries. Shahana asks, why is she crying? Prachi says there is so much which is unbearable. Shahana asks what happened. Prachi says the matter is of happiness, but I cannot share the happiness with someone who should know it. She says I love Rambo and I cannot give him good news that I am pregnant. Shahana says this is a big news and asks why can't you tell Rambo? Shahana asks Prachi what is going on in your life. Prachi asks her. Shahana asks her not to cry and says they shall sit somewhere and talk. They come to the hotel where Rambo is doing meeting with someone. Prachi tells Shahana that she is going to the washroom and she comes. She asks Shahana to sit. Shahana sits on the table. Rambo looks at them and goes to Shahana. Shahana recalls Prachi's words. Rambo asks, how are you, Shahana? Shahana asks, how is Prachi? She says, did you take my help to make Prachi be in this condition? She asks him to apologize to Prachi and take her home. Rambo asks if Prachi cried. Shahana says, whatever happened, you might have known. Rambo goes to Prachi. Shiv comes to Shahana. Shahana gets angry on him for taking her help to unite Rambo and Prachi. Shiv asks, didn't you know what happened between them? And says Rambo got married to Rhea. Prachi stops seeing Rambo and then walks past him. He holds her hand. He asks, what is she hiding? Prachi says nothing. Rambo says she is surely hiding something from him and says Shahana told me everything. Prachi recalls sharing the good news with Shahana. Prachi says Shahana is making up stories and lying. He asks, do you love me? A song plays in the background. Prachi stops hearing him. He says, I know that you know that you love me even till now. You got angry when I married Rhea, and that is why you vent out your anger. He says your pain came out and you was crying on the road. Rambo asks, what was the reason to return? What are you hiding from me? A song plays in the background again. Rambo holds her face. She says, I told you what was left and says, don't show love and concern for me. Rambo says, we have some emotions that I came drawn to you. Prachi says, from your side, when relationship is not left, then from where will emotion come? Rambo says there is some pain in yourself which is bringing tears in your eyes. He says, I am feeling like crying, seeing tears in your eyes, and says, I know you hate me and you want my bad, but I cannot see you sad. He asks her to answer and hugs her. Prachi cries and hugs Rambo. She then recalls everything and she gets worried and pushes him. She takes her bag and leaves. Shahana asks what happened to Prachi. Rambo says she is in pain and hiding something from me. She blames him and goes. Shiv asks Rambo if you haven't told Shahana that you are married to Rhea now and divorced Prachi. Rambo says I haven't divorced Prachi. She is still my wife. He says I will talk to you tomorrow. He goes home. Rhea greets him. Rambo asks if Prachi came home. Pallavi says that tomorrow is the club event and she suggested to them to have it in her house. She says they will meet you tomorrow and you know who is the real daughter-in-law of the house. Prachi comes there and asks Pallavi to be careful. She says your impression might get ruined and they will know that you are showing the old stuff with the new packaging. Rhea asks, do you think that will make you meet them? Prachi says I am tired and I am going to sleep. Pallavi turns her and invites Prachi to meet the guest and says they should know whom Rambo has left and married Rhea. She says let them decide. Rhea says I will welcome the guest being the daughter-in-law. Rambo asks if mother-in-law and daughter-in-law stay here. This doesn't seem to be a house, but seems to be a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law show. He says he needs a solution for this. Grandma smiles. Aliyah comes there and says there is a solution and asks Rambo to throw Prachi out from the house. She gets inside. Prachi says I did not hear properly. Aliyah says I didn't come to talk to you, but to talk to Pallavi. She says you told me that you will get Rhea and Rambo married and they will have the best memories. She says then you let Prachi stay here. Pallavi says I understand. Prachi says I will make her understand like making the guests understand that day. Pallavi asks Prachi not to interfere when she is talking to someone. Prachi says I will speak. She is my aunt and she is talking about me. Aliyah says I am not your aunt. Prachi says I am giving you the respect by calling you my aunt and asks her to break her relationship with Abby and says our relationship will be over. Aliyah says ask my brother if he regards you as his daughter or not. Prachi says he would accept me. Aliyah says you wanted to get your sister's husband and says do you understand why I dislike you? Aliyah says like mother like daughter. Grandma asks Aliyah not to involve the elders. Prachi says it is okay, we are family. Prachi says Rambro is my husband and I am his wife. She says I came here to show my right on him. Prachi says Rambro is her husband and she is his wife and she has come here to show her right on Rambro. Aliyah says Rambro is of Rhea now and that is why you don't have any right on him. Prachi says I don't need to prove it as I already proved in front of the guest who had come for our marriage and says if I sit to prove again, then I will get very angry on your dear Rhea and then you cannot bear and feel bad. She says it is late night and I am too tired. I don't want to explain. Prachi says to Aliyah that your Rhea would explain to you how did I prove as she has wasted time. She asks Rhea to tell the truth. No melodrama and no sweet talks. Rhea gets upset. Grandma tells Rambro that Prachi has to speak about their relationship always and asks why do you stay silent always. Pallavi says Mommy G, why do you support Prachi always? Rambro stops her. Grandma goes. Rambro says Grandma has soft corner for Prachi. Rhea asks if she can say anything. Rambro says if anyone says anything to Grandma, then my anger will burst. Grandma comes to Prachi. Prachi apologized to Grandma for all the drama happening in front of her. Grandma says I don't feel good, but I am relieved that Amrit might come out in this saga Mantan. She says I like your changed avatar and says I get happy when you give a fitting reply to Rhea. Grandma says I tried to alert you and show Rhea's truth to you, but you did not see it. Prachi says I was blinded and I couldn't see. You have always supported me. Grandma says Rambro shall support you too. Who has married you? Prachi says you are with me and I don't need anyone's support and says your love, your blessings are with me. Then I don't need to fight. Grandma asks Prachi and says I am always with you. Aliyah tells Pallavi that she is in tension as Prachi is behaving badly with Rhea in front of her. She says Rambro is behaving normally. Pallavi says you don't need to take tension due to Rambro and says he is doing as we want. She says we wanted him to marry Rhea and he did. Aliyah asks if Rambro has done any favor to Rhea and says Rambro should have married Rhea a long time ago. Pallavi says if he had not married her then. Aliyah says so this option was also in your mind. Rhea says why are you both fighting? And says we have to kick Prachi out of the house and legally too. Pallavi says Prachi has the support of the police and the NGO and she will not go out easily from Rambro's life. She says I hope that she doesn't insult us in front of the club members and tells Aliyah that she fears that Prachi might do some trouble. Aliyah asks can I come tomorrow? Pallavi says you are the family member now. Aliyah says she is coming to keep an eye on Prachi so that Rhea can enjoy. Rhea asks her. Pallavi says Prachi did not let Rhea to enjoy normal married life. Aliyah says how can she say so much? Who doesn't have tongue till yesterday? She says I will see her and ask Pallavi to take care of Rhea. Pallavi says Rhea is safe with me. Rhea asks Aliyah to come fast and says I don't have much time as Prachi has challenged me to throw me out in 3 days. Aliyah asks her to tell Prachi in the morning that she will throw her out in 3 days and says the police cannot do anything if you do what I thought. Aliyah shares her plan with Rhea. Rhea smiles happily and says wow, this is amazing and going to work. Aliyah asks her to wait for tomorrow and says Prachi will be out of the house tomorrow. Rhea says she cannot wait. She thinks that Rambro will not know and Grandma cannot do anything and Prachi will be out. She laughs. Grandma comes to Rambro and says she is upset with him. Rambro says you have all the right to get upset with me. Grandma says I want to know how much you know me and you haven't changed. Rambro says I haven't changed and says that Prachi has changed. Grandma says Prachi is changed due to you and I like her change, but I don't like to see you changing. Rambro says why are you doing injustice with me? Grandma says you were silent when Aliyah says so much to Prachi. At least you would have spoken for Prachi, if not for her, then for your chief. Rambro says what I would have said and says that Prachi said that she came to trouble me, but she herself is getting troubled. Rambro says I see love in Prachi's eyes for me and says she shall accept her love for me and she should slap me to vent out her anger He says she is trying to show strong but get weak emotionally. He says she tells me that she hates me but makes me eat cut sugar and asks me to come home soon. Rambro says Prachi alone is enough for mommy and Rhea. He says if she needs my support, then I will support her, but she has to take the first step and says not me. Grandma says I will talk to Prachi. Rambro gives her promise and says Prachi shall do this herself. Grandma says today I got the hope and says I will not tell anything to Prachi. Rambro hugs her and goes. Rambro finds missed calls and makes a call. Shahana is on the call. She says you have once kidnapped Prachi and you used to love her so much. She says, how did you marry Rhea? Rambro asks, can you come to my house now? Shahana says, I will see if I can get any motor. He says it is late and asks her to come tomorrow. He says you have to hear me fully and asks her to come wearing some festive clothes. Shahana says you are changed. Rambro says mom has kept a party and asks her to come. Shahana says if I find your fault, then I will. He asks what will you do? She says I will decide while coming and ends the call. Prachi comes to the kitchen and says there is nothing here. What will I eat? She is about to go and sees Rambro standing there. He holds her hand. Prachi asks him to leave her hand. She says I have to leave. Rambro says I am making sandwich and I will make for you too. Prachi says I haven't come to have food here. He asks why are you lying? He asks shall I apply butter? She nods yes. He says I know that you like it and asks if she remembers that they used to have it late in the night. Prachi recalls their moment. Rambro cuts the cucumber and keeps it on the sandwich. He gives it to Prachi. A song plays in the background. Prachi says I will go to my room and eat. Rambro asks if the taste will come if you eat in front of me and asks or are you scared that you have to thank me for the sandwich or are you afraid that I might ask you for something? Rambro asks what is the truth? Is it that you came to trouble me? He asks her to trouble him and call the police. Prachi says I will not leave you easily and says that she will get him punished. She says you have made sandwich for me and I haven't made it for you. Rambro says you know that I will be hungry if you don't have it. Prachi says it is your misunderstanding and I will prove it that I have come here to trouble you. Rambro says you are troubled now and asks her to have the sandwich now and trouble him later. Prachi says I want to trouble you in the party. You gave me the police idea, but I have more better idea to trouble you. Niti comes to Rhea and says she will do the decoration. Rhea says she likes to decorate as if she is doing farewell to someone. Prachi comes there and says nice decoration. Rhea says I know how to impress the guests too, like you are impressed. Prachi says yes. Rhea says I have fixed your date of leaving from here and very soon you will be thrown out of this house. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, share it and please subscribe to my channel for more updates. Thank you.